When we picture the ancient world, we usually imagine towering monuments to absolute power, the Great Pyramids of Egypt, the sprawling ziggurats of Mesopotamia, architecture built by thousands of subjects to glorify a single, absolute ruler. This map shows the geographic footprint of the Indus Valley Civilization at its peak, around 2600 BCE. Stretching from modern-day Iran across Pakistan and India, it covered roughly 1.3 million square kilometers. That is an area larger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. Yet when archaeologists began digging up its major population centers, like Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, they noticed something completely absent. They found no royal palaces, no grand tombs. Instead, they uncovered miles of uniform brickwork, street grids, and a city-wide plumbing network. How exactly did a society from 4,500 years ago manage to engineer master-planned cities, complete with grid streets and complex drainage systems that many modern municipalities still struggle to implement today? The total absence of giant royal structures shifts our focus away from the power of individuals and toward the engineering of the collective. In these cities, the highest design priority was the delivery of clean water and the removal of waste. In 1856, British engineers were laying down railway tracks between Karachi and Lahore. Needing a solid foundation for the heavy rails, they stumbled upon the ruins of Harappa and started pulling out thousands of ancient bricks. They had no idea they were tearing apart a 4,500-year-old metropolis. The only reason those ruins survived millennia in the dirt to be utilized by railway workers is the manufacturing process. Instead of relying on typical sun-dried mud, the Indus people kiln-baked their bricks, making them extremely strong and highly resistant to water. This diagram illustrates an even more remarkable detail about their construction. Every single brick found across hundreds of different Indus settlements, separated by thousands of miles, follows the exact same mathematical ratio of height, width, and length. That strict mathematical precision carried right over to their economy. Archaeologists have found cubic stone weights used by merchants across the entire region, and they are perfectly set in standardized multiples of 16. A merchant thousands of miles away would measure a transaction with the exact same weight as a trader in Harappa. Achieving perfect manufacturing uniformity across an empire of 1.3 million square kilometers, long before modern communication, requires an incredibly sophisticated and unified administrative system. When you pull back from the individual bricks to look at the macro layout of a city like Mohenjo-Daro, the scale of that unified planning becomes obvious. The sprawling foundations of the lower town reveal an urban core designed with exact intent. The main streets ran parallel to each other, intersecting at perfect right angles. It was a highly organized grid system, replacing the winding, chaotic alleyways you typically see in ancient settlements. There was pure engineering logic driving this layout. These wide, straight avenues were specifically aligned to catch the prevailing winds, acting as a natural air conditioning system that constantly ventilated the dense urban centers. Looking down these narrow, perfectly straight walkways bounded by tall brick walls, it becomes clear that these settlements didn't grow organically over time. Every city block was fully drawn out on a master blueprint before a single foundation trench was ever dug. We tend to view the pre-planned geometric city grid as a triumph of modern urban development. The Indus Valley Civilization perfected it thousands of years before the modern era. Inside these city blocks, a standard 2- to 3-story home was designed around a private, open-air courtyard, offering families a protected space away from the bustling streets. But the true marvel is what they installed inside. Nearly every one of these domestic homes featured its own private water well, a dedicated bathing area, and an indoor toilet. All of the wastewater from these private bathrooms was funneled through specialized terracotta pipes, cleanly channeling the effluent out of the living spaces and directly into a shared municipal street network. You can see the remnants of that network here. The main drainage channels running along the base of the brick walls were capped with flat stones, ensuring the streets remained hygienic and odor-free for the public. They even built periodic manholes into these covered drains. This allowed municipal maintenance workers to climb down and clear out blockages, keeping the entire plumbing system flowing smoothly. The effort required to build this integrated system suggests a society where collective hygiene took precedence over individual monuments. Even in the mid-1800s, major cities like London were still grappling with the same open sewer issues the Indus people solved with covered channels 4 millennia earlier. Yet, despite all of their engineering and civic planning, around 1900 BCE, this sprawling society began to fracture. The complex infrastructure started to fail, and over time, these massive, bustling cities were slowly abandoned. Older historical theories often blamed a violent, sudden invasion by foreign armies for the collapse. Modern science, however, points to a far more relentless enemy: extreme climate change. The very river systems that gave life to the region turned against it. As global weather patterns shifted, the critical monsoon rains became unreliable. The Great Saraswati River eventually dried up completely, while the Indus River was racked by devastating, unpredictable floods that destroyed agricultural yields. The millions of people here didn't vanish. Stripped of the agricultural surplus needed to sustain megacities, they were forced to migrate east and south into smaller rural villages, slowly losing their advanced urban identity in the process. The Indus Valley leaves behind a blueprint of a society that placed its highest value on public engineering. These cities functioned for 7 centuries, proving that stability depends as much on the health of the citizens as the